The Garden of Virtues by Timothy Ewing. Chapter 1. The Discovery. In the heart of a bustling metropolis named Urbania, where skyscrapers reached for the clouds and the streets buzzed with the sound of traffic, lived a young girl named Brittney. With her adventurous spirit and eyes full of curiosity, Brittney loved exploring every nook and cranny of the city. One sunny afternoon, while pedaling through the crowded streets on her bicycle, Brittney saw a small road she had never seen before. Curious, she guided her bicycle down the quiet alleyway that was full of old houses that looked like they used to have people living there, but now seemed to be empty. As she followed the road around the bend, Brittney stumbled upon a hidden paradise that was concealed behind a tall iron gate covered with overgrown ivy. Fascinated by what she saw, Brittney pedaled her bike to the entrance, where she was greeted by a wise old gardener. His hands were covered with soil, and his eyes twinkling with kindness as he greeted Brittney with a warm smile and welcomed her to his garden. "Welcome, little one," the gardener said, his voice surprisingly quiet, like the gentle hum of the city streets at night. "I am the owner of this garden, and these flowers have secrets that only the pure of heart can unlock. Would you like to see?" Brittney smiled, the biggest smile she ever smiled, and shook her head yes. Brittney's eyes grew bigger as she focused with wonder on the gardener as he explained how each flower represented a different virtue. Eager to learn more, Brittney listened as the gardener shared stories of compassion, resilience, and the power of love as he compared them to different flowers in the garden. As the sun began to set below the towering skyscrapers, casting a warm glow over the garden, Brittney knew it was almost time for her to head home. She thanked the gardener for showing her the garden, said goodbye, and promised to return as soon as she could. Chapter 2. Lessons in Love. The next week, Brittney couldn't wait to go back to the garden. She had learned so much from the gardener and wanted to learn more. She grabbed her helmet, hopped on her bike, and rode as quickly as she could back to the garden. Inside, she found the gardener tending to a delicate rose bush. "Today, we will learn about love," the gardener said, his voice gentle yet firm. "Love is the most powerful force in the universe, capable of healing even the deepest of wounds." Brittney listened closely as the gardener told her how love was the first and greatest virtue, from showing love and compassion towards family and friends to extending a helping hand to strangers in need. Love had the power to change lives and transform hearts. Inspired by the gardener's words, Brittney decided she wanted to practice being loving in her own life. She hugged her parents tightly, shared kind words with her friends, and reached out to those who were hurting with open arms and a compassionate heart. As Brittney practiced love each day, she found that her world became a brighter and more beautiful place. She learned that love was not just something to be received, but something to be given freely and generously to all. Chapter 3. Lessons in Joy. The following week, Brittney rode back to the garden even more excited to learn more from the wise gardener. She found him in the middle of a beautiful arrangement of colorful blooms. His hands looked like they were dancing with the rhythm of nature as it seemed he was conducting a song for the flowers. When he looked up and saw Brittney, he gave her a huge smile and said, "It's so nice to see you again today, Brittney. Come have a seat as today I want to teach you about joy," the gardener said, with warmth in his voice. Joy is the light that shines in the darkest of times. It brings hope and happiness, and it helps as a guiding light in difficult times, providing encouragement, positivity, and direction. Brittney listened with close attention as the gardener explained how joy was a virtue that could be found in even the most unexpected of places. From the laughter of children playing in the park to the beauty of a sunrise, joy can be found in everything. You just have to be looking for it. Inspired by the gardener's words, Brittney set out to incorporate joy in her own life. She danced in the rain-soaked streets, laughed with her friends, and embraced each moment with a heart full of gratitude. The more Brittney practiced joy, the more she found that her world became a brighter and happier place. She learned that joy was not dependent on external circumstances, but rather a choice to find beauty and happiness in every situation, even if it seemed bad at the time. Chapter 4. Lessons in Peace. Week after week, Brittney visited the garden to learn more from the wise gardener. This week, she found him sitting beneath the shade of a towering oak tree. His face and body seemed very relaxed and calm, as if he was in a trance. The gardener opened his eyes and said, "Good afternoon, Brittney. Come sit here next to me under this oak tree. Today, I want to teach you about peace," the gardener said, his voice as calming as a gentle breeze. Peace is the feeling of calm that fills our body and leaves us with a sense of awe and wonder, even in the midst of hardship or difficulty. Brittney listened intently as the gardener continued to share how peace was a virtue that could only be found within oneself. From the stillness of a quiet moment in the midst of chaos to the serenity of a mind at rest, peace is a gift given to anyone who looks for it with an open heart. Inspired by the gardener's words, Brittney wanted to have peace in her own life. She began focusing her attention on the present moment and being fully aware of her thoughts, feelings, and surroundings. She embraced each day with a spirit of calmness, even while being surrounded by the loud noises and distractions of the city. As Brittney practiced peace, she found that her worries and anxieties began to fade away, replaced by a deep sense of inner tranquility. She learned that peace was not the absence of conflict, but rather the presence of a quiet strength that carried her through life's challenges with grace and poise. Chapter 5. Lessons in Patience. The following week, Brittney returned to the garden eager to learn more from the wise gardener. She found him tending to a delicate bonsai tree, his hands moving with deliberate precision. "Today, we will learn about patience," the gardener said, his voice steady and calm. Patience is the ability to wait calmly and expectantly for something, even when it seems out of reach or you want it to happen right now. Brittney nodded as the gardener explained how patience was a virtue that required a lot of practice and time. From waiting for a flower to bloom to waiting for a dream to come true, patience was needed to help navigate and get through all the twists and turns that come in life. As Brittney listened, she realized that patience was not always easy. There were times when she wanted things to happen right away, but she knew that good things took time to grow and develop and were worth the wait. Equipped with this new understanding, Brittney began to practice patience in her own life. She waited calmly for the traffic to clear. She didn't get mad when she was trying to learn a new piece of music on her violin, but continued working hard until she played it perfectly. And she even waited patiently for the seeds she had planted with the gardener to sprout and grow. As Brittney practiced patience, she found that her life became richer and more fulfilling. She learned to appreciate the beauty of the present moment and to trust in the journey that lay ahead. 6. Lessons in Kindness. The next week, Brittney returned to the garden, wondering what virtue she would learn about today. As she entered the garden, she found the gardener tending to a bed of delicate tulips, his hands moving with gentle care. "Today, we will learn about kindness," the gardener said, his voice soft and compassionate. Kindness is the act of showing compassion and empathy towards others, even in the face of adversity. Brittney listened intently as the gardener explained how kindness was a virtue that had the power to change lives and transform hearts. From offering a helping hand to a homeless person on the street to sharing a smile with a stranger in passing, kindness could brighten even the darkest of places. Inspired by the gardener's words, Brittney set out to practice kindness in her own life. She volunteered at the local soup kitchen, donated clothes to those in need, and offered words of encouragement to those who were struggling. As Brittney applied the lessons of kindness to her everyday life, she noticed a change in the people around her. Strangers became friends, neighbors came together to support one another, and the city seemed to pulse with a newfound sense of unity and compassion. Chapter 7. Lessons in Goodness. The following week, Brittney returned to the garden, ready to learn more from the gardener. She found him tending to a row of vibrant dahlias, his hands working carefully and skillfully among the blooms. "Today, we will learn about goodness," the gardener said, his voice full of conviction. Goodness is the quality of being morally upright and virtuous, a commitment to doing what is right and just in all circumstances. Brittney nodded as the gardener explained how goodness was a virtue that stemmed from a pure, honest, and good heart. From standing up for kids who are teased or picked on, to making sure everyone is included, to being a positive influence and role model, having goodness will always shine the brightest and make the biggest impact. Inspired by the gardener's words, Brittney set out to put goodness into her own life. She stood up to the class bully, let the new girl in her class join her table at lunch so she wouldn't have to sit by herself, volunteered her time to clean up the trash at the local park, and always tried to do what was right, even when it was hard. As Brittney practiced goodness, she found that her actions had a ripple effect on those around her. People were inspired by her example and began to copy her, doing similar actions for others, spreading goodness throughout the city like wildfire. Chapter 8. Lessons in Faithfulness. The next week, Brittney returned to the garden and told the gardener all about her week and how she's been doing the things he had been teaching her. She couldn't wait to learn more, so she asked the gardener what virtue he would be teaching her this time. With a smile on his face, he replied, "Today, we will learn about faithfulness. Faithfulness is doing what you say you will do, even if it's hard." Brittney listened intently as the gardener explained how faithfulness was a virtue that required dedication and perseverance. From honoring commitments, like making sure you do your chores for your parents without complaining, or doing your homework, to staying true to one's beliefs, faithfulness is very important for building trust and having healthy and strong relationships with other people. Inspired by the gardener's words, Brittney wanted to practice faithfulness into her own life. She kept her promises to her family by doing her homework and chores each day. When her friends needed her, she was always there for them. She remained true to her values and beliefs, taking time to consider what matters most to her and why. She stayed committed to her goals and kept doing her best, never giving up when things got hard or took a lot of time to do. As Brittney practiced faithfulness, she found that her relationships grew stronger and more meaningful. People trusted her and knew she wouldn't lie to them. They knew that they could count on her to get the job done and that she was a person of integrity and honor. Chapter 9. Lessons in Gentleness. The following week, Brittney returned to the garden, excited to learn more from the gardener. "Today, we will learn about gentleness," the gardener said, his voice soft and soothing. Gentleness is the quality of being kind, tender, and compassionate towards others, a willingness to treat others with care and respect. Brittney nodded as the gardener explained how gentleness was a virtue that reflected compassion and empathy. From comforting a friend in distress to handling fragile objects with care, gentleness could bring healing and comfort to those in need. Inspired by the gardener's words, Brittney set out to practice gentleness in her own life. She treated everyone with love and respect, was kind and gentle with animals, and stayed calm in stressful situations. As Brittney practiced gentleness, she found that her relationships grew stronger and more meaningful. People were drawn to her gentle spirit and found encouragement in her comforting presence. Chapter 10. Lessons in Self-Control. The next week, Brittney returned to the garden, eager to once again learn more wisdom from the gardener. As she entered the garden, she found him sitting with a patch of vibrant wildflowers. His posture was confident and composed. "Today we will learn about self-control," the gardener said, his voice firm and steady. Self-control is the ability to restrain oneself from acting impulsively or recklessly, a commitment to discipline and moderation in all things. Brittney listened with determination as the gardener explained how self-control was a virtue that required strength and perseverance. From resisting temptation to managing one's emotions, self-control was essential in living a balanced and virtuous life. Inspired by the gardener's words, Brittney set out to include self-control in her own life. She stopped and thought before she did something she might regret. When her little brother drew crayon all over her favorite doll, instead of getting mad at him, she forgave him. She made sure she used her time wisely. She set timers to remind her to take a break from being on technology and to do other things. Finally, she learned to use her time and energy to help others. When she found out that some people didn't have enough food to eat, she asked her neighbors for extra food and gave it to the food bank to help them. Chapter 11. Spreading the Seeds of Virtue. As Brittney applied the lessons she learned in the garden to her everyday life, she began to notice a change in the people around her. Acts of kindness and compassion became more prevalent, and the city began to flourish with the virtues she had learned. One day, as Brittney was walking through the busy streets, she noticed a homeless person sitting on the sidewalk, their eyes filled with despair. Remembering the lessons she had learned about compassion and kindness, Brittney stopped and offered the person a warm smile and a helping hand. The person's eyes sparkled with gratitude as Brittney extended a gesture of kindness in the midst of the chaos of the city. Inspired by Brittney's example, others began to follow suit, and before long, the city was buzzing with acts of generosity and compassion. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, the city transformed into a vibrant community filled with love, compassion, and the spirit of cooperation. Neighbors looked out for one another, strangers became friends, and the virtues Brittney had learned continued to spread far and wide. Chapter 12. The Garden's Legacy. As the years passed by, the garden remained a symbol of hope and inspiration for the entire city. People came from far and wide to admire its beauty and to learn from the wisdom of the gardener. And as the city dwellers applied the lessons they learned in the garden to their everyday lives, the entire community was transformed. Acts of love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control became second nature, and the city flourished with the virtues Brittney had learned. Dear readers, I'm thrilled to share with you the inspiring tale of Brittney's journey through the Garden of Virtues, infused with timeless wisdom from the Scriptures. As we accompanied Brittney on her adventures, we witnessed the profound impact of virtues such as love, kindness, patience, and self-control, echoing the teachings found in the Bible. In the bustling metropolis of Urbania, Brittney stumbled upon a hidden sanctuary, the garden tended by a wise gardener. Through his gentle guidance, Brittney embarked on a transformative journey of self-discovery, discovering the beauty and significance of biblical virtues. At the heart of Brittney's journey lies the biblical principle of love, the greatest of all virtues. As the gardener imparted, love has the power to heal, transform, and unite. It is the cornerstone of our faith, exemplified by the selfless sacrifice of Jesus Christ on the cross. Brittney's encounters with kindness, patience, and self-control reflect the biblical call to live a life worthy of our calling, bearing fruit in every good work, and growing in the knowledge of God's will. Colossians 1:10. Through her actions, she embodies the virtues encouraged by the Scriptures, spreading light and hope in a world filled with darkness. As believers, we are called to be salt and light in the world, reflecting the virtues of Christ in all that we do. Matthew 5, verse 13-16. Like Brittney, we are called to cultivate virtues such as kindness, gentleness, and faithfulness, knowing that they have the power to transform hearts and communities. As you journey through Brittney's story, may you be inspired to embrace the virtues espoused by the Scriptures, living a life characterized by love, compassion, and righteousness. And may you be encouraged to sow the seeds of virtue in your own life, knowing that by doing so, you are fulfilling God's call to be agents of grace and ambassadors of His kingdom. With blessings and warm regards, Timothy Ewing.